Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Sunday, the 24th of July 2022. In today's Millwall news, we have this interview with Andy Marshall, the new goalkeeping coach from London News Online and South London Press's online website. So, Andy Marshall, Millwall return, 2004 FA Cup final, memories, and reflecting on time as coach at Charlton and Birmingham City. I walked into the training ground and the place was falling apart. There was rain coming through the holes. It was an absolute shambles of a training ground. Andy Marshall can still vividly remember his first impressions of life at Millwall. Little was he to know that his move to the South London club would lead to some of his most memorable moments. Now 47, Marshall is back with the Lions as their new goalkeeping coach, and so much has changed, not least the spruced up Calmont Road training base. He initially signed on loan from Ipswich Town in January 2004. 5 months later, he was facing Manchester United in the FA Cup final at Cardiff's Millennium Stadium. While the Lions lost 3-0, Cristiano Ronaldo opening the scoring on the stroke of half time before braced by Ruud van Nistelrooy, they still qualified for the UEFA Cup. Marshall kept a clean sheet in a 1-0 win over Sunderland in the semi-final at Old Trafford. And he was one of the first on the scene to grab the bare-chested Tim Cahill, who had whipped off his shirt after a 26-minute goal which proved to be the clincher. Back but to those first impressions. What does that mean? Dennis Wise had been appointed player boss, assisted by Ray Wilkins after Mark McGee's departure in October. Marshall said, "I turned up on a dull wet day and you think, what the hell am I doing here? But you start to then get a feel for the place. It's hard to explain. It was just the togetherness of the team and Dennis and Ray. Were they the most talented group of players? Nowhere near, but the level of togetherness and commitment was something I hadn't seen before. And I've been in the game for a few years by that point." Millwall went into the FA Cup final as serious underdogs. Sir Alex Ferguson's side contained Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs, not to mention the goal scorers on the day. Lions hard man Kevin Muscat was ruled out with a knee ligament damage in early April. Keeper Tony Warner was also sidelined, with striker Danny Dichio claiming he felt physically sick when referee Brian Kirsten refused to rescind his red card at Forest, killing his dreams of being involved. On top of that, Wise and Paul Eiffel were both struggling. Dennis was playing but hadn't trained for 3 weeks. Same with Ives, recalled Marshall. Even if we were at full strength, United were a far technically better side than us. We gave what we could and you couldn't ask any more of that. If we could have got to half time, then who knows what could have happened in the second half. Unfortunately, just before half time we conceded. The whole United team was star-studded. It was still a fantastic experience. Theo said, win or lose, you're going to have a party. The club had never achieved what it achieved before. We still had a really pleasant evening after the game. Marshall played 66 first-team matches for Millwall before he joined Coventry on a free transfer in June 2006. Pafitis had stepped down a year earlier, with Wise also walking away, claiming he could not work with new chairman Jeff Burnage. Burnage had lasted just 2 months in the role, only a touch more than Steve Claridge's 36-day spell as boss. 2 other managers followed in that campaign, Colin Lee and David Tuttle, as Millwall finished 23rd and lost their championship status. Theo wanted out. There was a change of board and ownership, said Marshall. It wasn't being run right. I think the fans became aware of this. Unfortunately, the club was going in a downward spiral, and there were a lot of things that the players didn't agree with that were going on. I wanted to play at the highest level. When the club got relegated, I had the chance to stay in the championship, which is what I went on and did. There was to be one final Millwall chapter as a player, but it was a brief one. Marshall came back in August 2013 on a short-term contract, with first choice David Ford ruled out for a month with a knee injury, but retired the following January. I've had a lot of problems with my back, and I'd previously had a prolapsed disc, which was operated on, said Marshall. It was just the accumulation of injuries that caught up with me. I was 39 years old and crawling out of bed on my hands and knees. My body was in bits and I wasn't even getting paid. I was coming into training because I wanted to carry on my career. One day I just thought, what am I doing with myself? And that's when I moved on. The FA Cup run was one of my highlights of my career, along with my debut for Norwich when I came on following an injury to Brian Gunn. Then I made my home debut and got man of the match. I have won player of the season at Coventry and Norwich. I've had a half decent career. I know we're doing this interview, but I rarely talk about my career. I just loved and enjoyed what I did, and I can still do it now. Marshall has been goalkeeping coach at Aston Villa, Charlton Athletic and Birmingham City. When Lee Bowyer quit the Alex to take charge at Birmingham, Marshall made the same move shortly afterwards. Those two clubs have hit the headlines for plenty of the wrong reasons in recent years, with messy and at times farcical ownership battles playing out. Marshall left the Blues when Bowyer's 16th month managerial reign was ended at the start of this month. It coincided with Lee Turner stepping down from his post at Millwall. An agent contacted me and said that Lee Turner was looking to take a bit of time out and there could be an opportunity to come in at Millwall, said Marshall. It was a yes, I'm interested, and within 24 hours I had spoken to the manager and spoken to the coaching staff. I met the manager a couple of days later and it just went from there. It suited all parties. Lee wanted to get out for a little while, he needed a break from the game, and the manager, myself and the coaching staff all got on really well. It just fitted in perfectly. Perfect is not a description that applies to Birmingham City, with their Chinese owners looking to sell and parts of their ground shut due to urgent repair work being shelved while takeover talks continue. There are some good staff and really good people at the club, said Marshall. The club is going through, let's be diplomatic, a transition. I just don't know when that transition is going to end. I look at my own time there. On a personal level, I was brought in to develop the goalies and get performances on the field. I brought in a goalkeeper in Matija Sarkic after Neil Hefferidge contracted COVID. In 23 games, he kept 10 clean sheets. Within that time, he got our player of the season. I like to think I had a positive impact on the team and helped develop the goalkeepers in the football club. I just didn't feel as a coaching staff we were ever given the support that was deserved and promised. I've come to Millwall and seen a totally different level to how the club is being run in comparison to previous clubs I've been at. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be part of it. Marshall played more than 400 matches at club level and was also capped by England at under 21 and under 18 level. He wants to impart his wisdom to the keepers he works with and to try and help them avoid the pitfalls. It's being there to try and take all the pressure away from these guys, he said. Having played the game at the levels I've played at, I'm lucky to understand the added pressures that come with a game. The bigger thing in society, which people always forget, is that footballers are human beings. They have the same stuff going on that a normal person on the street will have going on, but they have to hide it and be able to get on with their performances and working as an elite athlete. So it's about understanding that, and understanding these lads can come to me. There's not a lot that I've not experienced at my age, both domestically, in my personal life and in my football life. They are able to come to me and maybe I can help them to not make the same mistakes and maybe avoid them having similar problems they could be up against. Young lads are fortunate to have very good contracts and good money. Best of luck to them, but you strip it all away and they're just normal human beings. Marshall will work with established first teamers like Bart Piakowski and George Long, as well as youngsters still learning the trade. I've come into a goalkeeping department where the standard is very, very good, he said. That's credit to my predecessor and to the players who were working at the football club. I've been seriously impressed by them. What I'll try and do is bring all the age group levels together. The problem we've got at Calmont Road is that it isn't a big site. Unfortunately, a lot of the under 18s and year groups below don't get to train with the first team or under 23s. I'm trying to find opportunities where we can bring them together. Already some of the young goalkeepers have started training with the senior ones, because it's key to see the pathway and understand the level that they have to get to play in the championship and above. The only way they can do that is by training with senior keepers. This was something I always wanted to do. Even when I was still playing, I used to stay in the evenings and coach the young goalkeepers. Even a few years ago at a club like Villa at the highest level, they never had goalkeeping coaches in the evenings a few years ago. I saw it as an opportunity to help develop me and help develop the football club. As a coach, I was working with Brad Guzon, Shay Given and Jed Steer, and then young goalkeepers Sarkic and some others. Most went on to have careers in the lower leagues. So there you go, very full and in-depth interview with Andy Marshall, new goalkeeping coach for Millwall Football Club. And we may very well be needing his help this season, as we still so far struggling to score, so clean sheets are very vital now. We got this from News at Den today. Everton to make decision on Millwall transfer target. Everton are set to make a decision on the future Millwall target Ellis Simms. Simms, 21, was included in the Toffees pre-season tour of the USA, but did not get any game time in defeats to Arsenal or Minnesota United. Then what's the point? Why did you bring him out there? Alan Nixon of The Sun has claimed that the striker could depart Goodison Park this summer, with a number of Championship admirers keen on either a loan or a permanent move. He adds that Huddersfield Town and Millwall are both interested, although the Terriers are confident that they can win the race to acquire his signature. Simms came through Everton's academy after playing for Blackburn Rovers and Manchester City in his youth career. He's only made one Premier League appearance, playing 62 minutes in a 1-1 draw against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in December 2021. The former England under-20 international has also had successful loan spells at Blackpool and Hearts. Garra has said that he would like to sign 1 or 2 more players this summer. The Lions keen on adding a new forward option before the end of the transfer window. Indeed, so I told you the other day about the age-restricted games are changing. It's the under-23s is now changing to under-21s. So a lot of these teams, when they get these players getting up to 21, they could be just ready to just offload them, just dump them out. So we could be getting some of these players, and not only us but other teams in the Championship could be getting some of these players, because if it's an under-21s league now, why do you need a 21-year-old or a 22-year-old? You don't. You don't. If they're not gonna make it, they're not gonna make it to the level you need them to be. Maybe it's time for them to move on, and that could be the situation here. So I thought I'd just have a little check up on what's happened so far. So these are most, if not all, I may have missed 1 or 2 players that we have been linked with this post-season break between last season and the new season coming up. So as you can see, the first one was Ross Sykes way back, way back, and then Elliot Anderson from Newcastle United. That was supposed to be a season-long loan deal. I think we're still waiting on that one. He went to Australia with them, so don't really know what's going on, but you can see. So we've got the players here, the club they're at, the source, where did the news originate from, and then what happened. So we've got Nathan Byrne. Some of these still nothing's happened, but the ones that have happened, something has happened. Nathan Byrne, Derby County. His contract extended at Derby. They triggered a clause and extended his contract, and he apparently has told them, because they got taken over by new owners, he's told them under the TUPE legislation that he does not wish to play for be an employee of the new company, which is his legal right, and that was proven in the Rangers case. So there is precedent for that. We also have Lewis Ferguson, who we apparently bid 2 million for, may have been 2.5, and they said they wanted 4 million. I think they ended up getting 3 from Bologna in Italy, so he signed for Bologna. Jack Rudoni of AFC Wimbledon signed for Huddersfield. George Honeyman, Hull City. News that then put this up first, I believe. That one was true. He actually did sign for Millwall. Then we got Will Smallbone of Southampton, and this one has been settled today, I believe. He's gone to Stoke on loan. So you can see here, 2 of the players we were linked to have gone to Stoke, and 1 to Huddersfield. And are these the teams that we're competing with this season? Stoke and Huddersfield? Maybe, could well be. Charlie Cresswell, Leeds United, from Football Insider. That one happened. He signed for Millwall. And again, the exact same thing with James Shackleton, Leeds United Football Insider, signed for Millwall. So Football Insider know what they're doing when they're talking about Leeds United players, because they got 2 out of 2 here. So obviously their inside source at Leeds is very good. And recently we had Dwight Gale being linked with 5 championship clubs, one of which was Millwall, and that did not happen. That has gone through today. He's signed, or the other day, signed for Stoke City. So there you have it. These are the ones that have been sorted so far, and we're still waiting on Ellis Simms, as you just said or saw in the thing. So here's the thing. So obviously Gary Rowett said they're still trying to improve their attacking options. Now that's kind of good, because it means he's obviously seeing what we're seeing, and thinks, well, that we need something else here. It's not working in pre-season in terms of goals scored from open play. It's not happening. So what do we do? It seems he's still trying to sign an attacker, so it seems he's not daft. He knows there's something wrong, and he seems to be just trying to bring in another player rather than work with the ones he's got. But what can you do? So on that note, thank you for watching, and goodbye.